Hey everybody, it is the last video for my practicum placement for this year, for the foundation, practicum, and it has been a wild ride, I will say that. Very, very pleased with everything that has gone on in my practicum. I feel like I've worked well with the instructor for this class. I feel like I've worked well with my peers and with all the workers at my placement and for my AFI. It's just been a really good experience. But when have I been inspired by the courage of someone at your placement? Since we do a lot of work in the elementary school, I actually regularly find myself inspired by some of the people that I work with there. Although they aren't mental health professionals or behavioral specialists by any means, I feel really inspired by the teacher that I worked with closely with my client. I actually really respected a lot of her decision making, and although I did disagree with some of them, and felt that I had to then kind of approach things. It made my approach a little bit harder on a behavioral and rapport building standpoint with my client. I really do think that when you're working together as a team for a child, things go better. And I really feel like she cared about this child, even with some of his worst moments. And I feel like we build off of each other's strengths when we were working with our client. And that we both genuinely cared and tried to approach things in a very collaborative manner with one another. And that has inspired me to always remember to keep in mind the perspective of the people that you're working with, because I feel like we kind of started the year a little awkward with one another, but then it really did turn into this great process of collaborative work and trying to help this kid through some of his harder struggles with mental health. And so on my role and engagement in practicum, when did I inspire others around me with courage? Well, I would actually say that I feel like I inspired others when I would disagree with an approach that was being taken by the school, because I think that the school is very action oriented at times, and when people are in pre-contemplative stages, that doesn't usually work out well. It can create impulsion or explosion, and I noticed in my client a lot of the times it did both. And so sometimes being the person to be like, no, I don't think this is the best approach, or privately going to different teachers and being like, hey, I don't think this approach, I think this would be more strength based or empowerment based approach, helped inspire them, and then it didn't feel so hard on my client, and it also gave my client courage and inspiration and saw me as kind of like an advocate on their behalf in a way as well, which is what we're supposed to also be doing as mental health professionals. And I had to learn a lot about this, with differences in behaviorist approach versus school approach and psychiatric rehabilitation approach. And so I feel like that made me leave my comfort zone, because I feel like even when assessing my biases, I was kind of trained to just do what the school says my whole life, and I think everybody is trained that way, because we tend to value the opinions of teachers and things, and we're taught to really respect them and stuff in classroom settings. And so I feel like you can still respect them and everything, but you can also have this area of disagreement when you're when you're collaborating and approaching working with clients. And so I feel like that is something that was very vulnerable for me, but allowed me to lean into the work. What would I like to do for my concentration year placement? I'm going to actually stay at the same agency. It did get approved. I'm very happy about that. I'm going to continue doing some work with the school. It's going to be a little more expansive, though. I'm going to be doing lead worker stuff and preparing for being certified and licensed in the state of Idaho as a psychiatric rehabilitation specialist. I also want to get my social work licensing as well, so I'm going to take on some roles as a counselor, which will be really fun to work with my AFI since with counseling specific stuff, and learning different methods of clinical counseling and things. And I really am excited about this clinical placement, and doing those activities. And so I'm just hoping to gain just more specialized experience in more of a counseling role and preparing myself for licensing. That's my next focus really for this upcoming year. By the time I graduate, I'd like to be certified as a psychiatric rehabilitation specialist, and I'd also like to be get my license shortly after graduating, with my degree. And so that is my focus. So I'm super excited to hopefully work with some of you guys again, and thank you so much. This has been a wonderful experience overall, and I'm really glad I've been able to work with the people I have.